Hello and welcome back. In this video I planted the garlic over right here, and I harvested the soldier beans, and the black turtle beans. Prior to that, I took some seeds from sunflowers and the other flowers out front. So sit back and enjoy. Oh dread, it's starting to rain. I'm going to harvest some sunflower heads, and I'm going to use my bypass pruners to do so. First one is this one that's growing up beside the sea berry, because this is the one with the largest head. I was just watching my gardener yesterday, and he showed how a Mennonite farmer showed him. So we just take the sunflower with some of the stem, clip off the leaves, leaving a little bit of the stem there. You'll see why later. And we'll bring this into the basement and hang it up. The other one that's ready to be harvested is this one. Now, it's not an impressive specimen, but it's a white-seeded variety, which is why I want to take this one. So it's hanging there. I'll snip it down here and take that. Now, the other ones I want to save seed from, of course, is this one, because it's my tallest one. And I'll need to save seed from, I guess, a couple at least of these, because they are smaller, but they are, of course, red sunflowers. So because of their variety, I want to save those. And I'm going to take this marigold inside and see what the seeds are like in that. Here's one of the nasturtiums, and the plant itself doesn't have any seed pods. They have all fallen down. There's one here, there's 3 there, and there's 2 more here. So while the pods are still green, well, they've fallen off the plant, so I'll have to take them inside. Oh, I see another pod down here, or 2. See, that's the seed pods from the nasturtium. Let's go over to this one, because it looks like there's no pods on it. Here's a pod on the ground. Of course, this pod's turning brown anyway. And here's a couple more pods. I noticed that this sunflower plant, oh, it was one of the ones that I picked from before. See this? And I'm wondering if the one I picked before was too early, and it has, of course, a different coloring than the other ones I showed you. And I have this head here that's all the pseudopetals are gone, so I'm going to cut off this head. It's October the 2nd, and I can still snack on pea pods. The pea plants are still putting out flowers. This is the sugar snap ones here. I just ate one pod. Here's another one coming in along nicely. And this is the snow peas. The flower here, pod here, a pod here. The zinnias on October the 2nd. Now that we're in the basement, you can choose your own way of what you want to use to hang these up. I'm not using this incubator right now, so I can hang them up over that. I have a finishing nail put right here, and I have another one here. And what I'm going to do is just press that so that the finishing nail goes through the stem. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Just like that. Now what I have to do, my understanding is, wait until the green on that, the stalk and the petals in the eye, I'll wait until that dries out and turns brown, and then I'll remove the seeds. So I have 3 covers here now that I'm going to put seed in. The seed here I have to collect is, these are the daisy-like plant that's there by the front step. So the head is all dried up here. I'm going to extract the seed and see what it looks like. I may have to take these and dry them up more because they're actually not completely dry from outside. You see, it's still all green. But I'm going to try. There's lots out there, so if this doesn't work, then I can get more and dry them. So that's the, what I'm calling daisy by the front step. Okay, so I had to be careful with that. Because you see, if you pick them, that brown on the bottom here, the black stripe thing on the bottom, that's the seed. I'll put these out here. That's what you have when you're done with that. I have a pair of tweezers here someplace. So there's your seed, and then that's your seed with the flower portion attached. These are the marigolds, and you see this is completely dry here now, so this whole flower stalk is completely dry. And I can take the top part and pull on it like that. There is still some seeds in there, so I'll have to get them out afterwards. But for the most part, I got all the seeds right there. These are very easy to harvest your seeds from. Now I'll take hold of the mass of seeds so that I can break the flower portions from the seeds. And I'll discard that. And then I just have my seeds. When you buy marigold seeds, they do have this little bit of brown stuff on top of them. So that's how you take your seeds and store them. Time to be planting the garlic now. And I had the ends over here, so it's quite the mess. This is the bed I'm going to plant the garlic in, and I'm going to take what garlic I have and plant the old bed out. But I'm going to rake this material, top material off, and I'm going to sift out a wheelbarrow load of compost and put on here. There, that's a couple of inches of compost spread over that bed. And now that'll be all the compost that bed will be getting until I get all of the beds done like that. The sun is going down, so I will plant the garlic in there in the morning. Good night for now. Well, it's not raining right now. I have 129 garlic cloves here, and I'm going to plant them out with the rows spaced 6 inches apart, 8 across a row. So it didn't fill out the full bed. Got a little strip down the end. I'll have to put a marker. Oh, there's a stick right here I can use. Put that right there for where the garlic ends. Now we'll poke them in. There. They should grow really well here next year. It's October the 5th and we're getting frosty nights. So I'm going to harvest the rest of the beans. To make this easier on me, I'm just going to pull up the plant. That's how many pods I got for the soldier beans. Not very many. I'll try again next year and see what happens. The black turtle beans, the plants are still green. They don't look to be completely dead yet. And a lot of pods are still green. But I'm going to pick them anyway because we're having heavy frost now. So we'll shuck them and put them on a screen to dry. So what I just noticed was that where those volunteer potatoes grew up, the bean, he grew very poorly, and some of them didn't grow at all. So that's of course the potato plant shading out the bean plant. Now that we are inside, I've brought the beans. I've collected all the beans because the plants were dead from the recent heavy frost. Some of the pods are still greenish, some of them are yellow. So I'm expecting the yellow pods to be, the beans inside to be fully mature for sure. It's just that they haven't dried out. So what I'm going to have to do is spread them out on a screen and let them dry. Earlier when I done my tour video, so the next day I harvested most of the beans of Jacob's cattle beans. The plants were pretty much dead on those, but the soldier bean and the black turtle bean, the plants weren't dead, so I let them go and be as mature as possible. And like I said, with the last few nights of frost, then the plants are dead for the rest of them now. Beans, with peas, you take the top part here, the very end, and you break it off and pull them out that way. This one seemed to go nicely. He's very light, but this is a soldier bean. And you see that mark, it looks like a British soldier, the old-fashioned British soldier head. And the rest of the bean is white. But what I found, this is what I was trying to show you, with the beans, it's easier to break off the end where it was attached to the plant and peel back on the outside of the curve, and then the pod opens up easier. These don't fully have their markings. It's a Jacob's cattle. You have this big purple blotch here, but then over the rest of the bean it's speckled in purple. So quite a lot like the soldier bean, just a little different variation in the coloring. See, this pod is getting fairly dry. There we go. Now here we have black turtle. Really dark purple bean. Now that I've showed you all three, I'm going to turn off the camera, I'm going to shuck all these, and then I'll show you what I got when I'm done. Well, as you can see, I have very poor harvest of the black turtle and the soldier bean. This is what I've taken of the Jacob's cattle, but 2 weeks ago I harvested the pods that had gone yellow, and I got 4.5 cups of beans, so they done very well. And now you can see that most of these are still green. I'm saving them all for food. I add maybe 3 pods, I think it was, that were dry, and then a lot that were yellow. The beans inside the pod will not be fully developed until the pod turns yellow. Of course, they won't be dry until the pod itself dries out, so ideally you leave them on the vine until the pod dries, and then you can shuck the beans and just put them right into storage. I am going to have to lay these out to dry for quite some time to store them. The black turtle beans were even worse. As you can see, there's very little of them there because most of the pods, the peas wasn't even developed with respect to size. What I've sold here is things that are enlarged by size, and so they'll be good for food. But if any of these, see, here's a dark, really dark one, he might be viable, but most of them are basically, I can use them for food, but they'd be no good for seed. Can't call this a failure because it's my first time growing beans, and I'm basically finding out what grows here. And what we found was that the Jacob's cattle had fully mature beans a full month before the soldier bean, and it would probably have taken another month for the black turtle. Now the black turtle was over in a more shady location, so that might have been a cause as well. I am going to try black turtle and soldier again next year, but for all three they need to be put here in Newfoundland. They need to be in a sunny spot with a windbreak to the north, east and west. So very sheltered, open to the south, for you to get a relatively good harvest of beans for the island of Newfoundland. So I want to show you, you see the difference in size here. So this is the beans that I picked 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago something, and these are the ones I just shucked here. So they shrink as they are drying out. So there's quite a bit of water in these. I'll just leave them there drying for however long, and then I have the other ones put over there. So at the end of that now, I just want to talk about the beans. Jacob's Cattle is an excellent bean for growing here. It is the earliest to mature. But the other two I have to try again next year and see if it's where I planted them or are they just later maturing. And if they're later maturing, you'll get a good harvest in a warm year, but in a cooler year like this year, you won't get as good a harvest from those two. So, hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video.